Crew advancement available. That's I think that's the same from the previous game. Right. Wait, is that like a shitload of blood all over here? Did the smuggler just get like completely destroyed? Let's spend some karma. Alright, let's go. I have so little new yenis. Boop. Alright. Ooh, there's a hatch. Oh, can I go to meet the guy living downstairs now? Hi, Racter. Why'd the music suddenly go like that? It's oppressively hot down here, and the air is full of synthetic odors that grab you by the sinuses and refuse to let go. You can smell engine grease and melting plastic, ionized air, and lead solder. A quick scan of the room tells you why. The downstairs tenant has converted the space into a machine shop. Metal fabrication tools and gyroplast extruders line the walls, and a pair of heavy industrial manipulators hang from the ceiling. A man in a black trench coat stands with his back to you, staring at a monitor mounted above a sturdy workbench. He addresses you without turning. Ah, I was wondering when I'd meet the new neighbor. His voice is pleasant, cultured. There's a hint of a Russian accent there, but it's buried under layers of nuance. Please stay where you are. I'll be with you in just a moment. And unless you fancy an unplanned trip to Chrome Alley, don't touch anything. There are all manner of tools in here that can get your hand clean off. I know how to handle myself in the shop. I'll be fine. Perhaps I should mention that I also have a heavily militarized, semi-autonomous drone prowling the shop. Please keep your hands to yourself. As I say, I won't be a moment. Try to see what's on the screen. The feed on the monitor looks like some sort of design software. You can see what appears to be a slimy, spidery appendage in orthographic and perspective views. Very good. Yes, that's coming along nicely. Very nicely indeed. He turns towards you, smiling, and for the first time you can see his face. He has a broadly handsome Slavic features and a chiseled jaw. His eyes are like flecks of ice. So sorry to kept you waiting, Miss Caddis. It's no problem. Don't worry about it. You're too kind. Now tell me, what can I do for... His eyes trails off as a flash of motion catches his eye. With alarming speed, a sinister-looking drone scuttles off from under the work table. Its movements are surprisingly agile and fluid. The machine rears back menacingly, spreading its forelegs in a clear sign of aggression. The man's smile tilts and his tone goes apologetic. Please don't mind the drone. He can be territorial. But so long as you remain civil, he will not bite. He extends a hand. Simultaneously, the drone relaxes into a neutral position, lowering its killing legs. Racter, my mechanical counterpart here, is called Koshe. Shake his hand. A pleasure. His hand is rough and abnormally warm to touch. He shakes your hand with a solid grip. I am very pleased to meet you, my friend. In a community such as Hai, it's important to be on good terms with one's neighbors. Agreed. Speaking of which, I'd like to ask you some questions, if you have the time. He glances at the bracer on his forearm. A technical display winks to life, then gutters out. Very well. This morning's casting should still be cooling for a few minutes yet. That's time enough to talk. When you said this morning's casting, what did you mean? Exactly what I said. A casting that I made of a new locomotive assembly for Koshe. He gestures at the display above the work table. A biomimetic design, as you can see. This one is inspired by the walking legs of a decapod crustacean, the mangrove crab to be specific. That's fascinating. And will this new leg assembly make your drone more effective? That remains to be seen, but there's more to life than combat effectiveness, is there not? By fabricating new components for Koshe, I can unlock options, different ways of being. Even the failures, and there have been many, have value in this context. Wouldn't it be simpler to design the parts here and outsource the fabrication? Simpler, yes, but not better. Here I have ultimate control over the entire process from start to finish, and I have the skills to make good use of that control. Drone architecture was once my profession, you see. Now that I have freed myself from the shackles of corporate servitude, I see little reason to allow outsiders for much of anything. You've got some interesting machinery in here, not the kind that you typically see outside of corporate settings. He smiles. The same could be said of many in Hai, I'm sure. This is a smuggler's den, is it not? Our entire economy is based on people having things that they shouldn't. Is there a particular device that interests you, out of curiosity? The robotic arms that you've got over there, they look like something taken from an automotive assembly plant. His smile flashes brilliantly in the light. Good guess, that's precisely what they are. They fell off a boat, you might say. They weren't cheap, but I acquired them and had them mounted to the walls of my shop. I simply had to have them. But why? The return on investment has been dramatic. Yes, they're cruder by far than the Waldo devices that I used in my professional life, but they still do the job and they are mine. He gazes lovingly at the industrial arms, still smiling. They have increased my fabrication capabilities nearly tenfold, and that, to me, is worth any price. Cochet is an interesting name for a drone. Yes, I suppose that it is. Not many riggers would name their most prized possession after a villain from a fairy tale. A nod to my heritage, I suppose. What was the fairy tale about? A thoroughly unpleasant person. Cochet the Deathless, he was called, and for good reason. His soul was cleverly hidden outside of his body, and he could not be killed so long as it remained intact. Cochet was a villain, and a notorious kidnapper of women, but something about him always stuck with me. I suppose it was the notion of immortality through cleverness that resonated. There was something to be learned from that, I was sure. And so when it came to name my beloved creation, his was the first name that came to mind. An ancient drone, deathless like his namesake? In a manner of speaking, I suppose that he is. I have redundant copies of every piece of his architecture, and his core programming is stored on disk in a secret location. Should he ever suffer critical damage, I can easily bring him back. I had a plan once to automate the self-repair process. I must confess it was quite ingenious, but alas, my research was lost. One day I will reclaim it, and Cochet will become as deathless as the stories claim. But it will not be today. Are you Russian? I thought I caught a hint of an accent there. He nods. You have a good ear. I'm impressed. Yes, I grew up in Nizhny Novgorod. Went to school there. Started my career there in the industrial sector. A fairly common story, I'm sure. But I have also traveled a great deal, and in so doing, I have absorbed a number of other languages and dialects. Okay, how many languages do you speak? Counting Russian and Cantonese, 15. He shrugs apologetically. It shames me to admit that I'm only literate in 12, however. You're either way too hard on yourself, or you're acting ashamed to cover up the fact that you're bragging. His brow furrows. Cochet takes a step forward. I assure you I am not bragging. In truth, I've never much cared what anyone else thought of my abilities or accomplishments. I am quite self-sufficient in that regard. If I tell you that I feel ashamed, it is because I do. When knowledge eludes me, I take it poorly. His shoulders relax, and Cochet adopts the same posture. The curse of perfectionism, I suppose. You said that you used to work for a corp. Whose payroll were you on? He sighs. That is something of a sore subject. My departure was involuntary, you see. I did not part ways with my employer under the best of terms. I will tell you that I worked for Grecian Aviator Corps, but you'll forgive me if I don't want to go into detail. Keeping all of this machinery running can't be cheap. How do you afford it? Freelance. At the risk of sounding immodest, I've commodified myself rather well. There are always corporations in need of design consultations. You'd be surprised by how lucrative such work can be. And there is always other work that I can turn to in a pinch. Okay, and so what's that other work, sir? He pauses, and for a second something flashes in his eye. Cochet lowers its body into a crouch. A rather personal question, wouldn't you say? Maybe, but then we're having a personal conversation. Indeed we are, but even in personal conversations, certain topics can be held off limits. Truth be told, I don't feel especially comfortable discussing my side work with relative strangers. Suffice it to say that my freelance activities often fall on the illicit end of the spectrum. Tell you what, I'm just going to guess. You're a Shadowrunner, aren't you? He gives you a shallow nerd. Shallow nerd. Here's a nerd. He's really shallow. Go away. He gives you a shallow nod. I dislike the term, but yes, I run in the shadows. What gave me away? Design consultants live in apartments in Victoria Harbour. You're living in a rusted-out boat in Hawaii. There's got to be a reason for that. He shrugs. You are correct, of course. The residents of shadow communities are usually too poor to live elsewhere or engage in behaviors too illicit to risk it. I will admit to being in the latter camp. Designing robotics is my passion, but it doesn't always pay the bills. He runs a hand over Cochet's armored chassis, caressing the sculpted metal with his fingertips. My status as a foreigner has proved something of an impediment in this regard. And so, sorry as it might be to say, the lion's share of my income flows from Cochet's aptitude for butchery. Such is life, I suppose. We do what we must to do what we love. Seems like everybody in this boat runs the shadows. Why not pool our resources and work together? He purses his lips, considering. A compelling offer. I'm doing quite well on my own, but I must admit that there are certain jobs for which I am unsuited. Magic eludes me, and I'm not a decker. My strength comes from material objects in the real world, solid things with mass and heft, things that I can build and operate. Sadly, a great many clients are only interested in teams that display a mastery over the intangible. This group of yours, do you have people who can cover those bases? If so, then perhaps we can help each other out. How can you not already know that? You live right beneath our feet. Have you ever rented a coffin apartment in a big city? Did you know all of your neighbors by name? My situation here is much the same. I keep to myself, and your friends don't come down to the engine room. The only real connection we share is that we all live in this wreck by kindly chance, I guess. Obviously, there are things that I can intuit about your friends from my time here. I'd guess that they were Shadowrunners. Their behavior fits the profile, but we haven't had any real contact with the other until now. So I'll ask you again, does your team makeup cover the bases I describe? Yeah, we've also got a former security expert. I guess that's the best way to describe Duncan. In that case, I'll accept your offer on a provisional basis. We'll do a few rounds together and see how we get on. If our association bears fruit, it will continue. If not, I'll bid you my farewell and go back to working alone. How does that sound? Welcome aboard. Very good. Excellent. When you receive a job, you know where to find me. My skills and resources are at your disposal. And with that, I'm afraid I must bid you a good day. I still have work to do down here. This leg assembly won't clean itself. I'll be in touch. Look forward to working with you. And I with you. Oh. Can I look? Or am I gonna get yelled at? Wow. Your place kinda, it looks like shit, dude. Maybe you should come upstairs, have one of the beds that are up there. Let's see what's going on here. Your workstation and mission computer. The cool blue tones of the workstation's main menu fill the screen. A blinking message in the upper right corner notifies you of 6 unread messages. Imagine being that popular. Welcome to Heioi. From Kindly Cheng. On behalf of your friends of the Heioi Chamber of Commerce and the Swift Winds Mahjong Parlor, I welcome you to the community of Heioi and to our new business venture. I've already lined up 3 jobs for you. The details of each are contained in a separate computer message. Remember to check your messages often, as they will update you with new opportunities as they occur. Your mission computer. Hey, Karis, I've set up your mission computer to automatically collect and collate news reports, information, and media that might be of interest to you. Some of the keywords I've got trolling I've got it trolling for are things like Raymond, Duncan, Walled City, etc. I've also patched in a permanent link to the Hong Kong shard of the Shadowlands BBS. It's a great place to connect with other runners, sell pay data, get news from the street, and so on. Don't be shy about taking a look. Resources. From Bao Jian Jian. I've been instructed to inform you of the various suppliers present in Heioi. Aunt Shang has cultivated a commercial district of well-stocked and trustworthy vendors. Whoever you choose to do business with, you'll be in good hands. Ermine Kai Fi at Club 88 is an excellent resource for acquiring additional weapons should you require any. If you're in need of magical supplies, go to the Parlor of 5 Phases. If you desire training in the path of the adept, seek out Spider Shen. She can help you, as well as supply you with any close quarters weapons that you might desire. Chrome Alley can supply you with cybernetic enhancements and medical supplies. The proprietor, 10-Armed Ambrose, is a cyber surgeon of some repute. Law's Techno Palace is a Wampoan-run supplier of the local decking community. The place is hard to miss, just look for a sign glowing in the sky. If you need drones, Reliable Matthews Robot Bazaar is your best bet, and I pity you. Best of luck in the shadows. As fresh meat, you are likely to need it. Shenga Bao. I was unable to serial killer. I got a problem, Karis, and you're going to help me solve it. I do a lot of business with the Wampoans. If you're not familiar with the term, I'll forgive you. You're an outsider, after all. The Wampoans are a tribe of techno-fetishists and tech-deckers who've taken up residence in the Wampoa Garden area of Hong Kong. They make and trade high-tech goods to people from all over the world. A lot of new yen passes through their pasty little fingers, and I make a lot of money brokering deals between them and the smugglers here in Heioi. I've hit a snag, though. The Wampoan elders, their council of leaders, are being eliminated by a serial killer. They've asked me to dispatch someone to get to the bottom of it and stop the killings, and they're not taking their goods through my turf until I do. So you're going to be my proxy, dear. I don't care how you do it, but I need those murders stopped. The Wampoans have delegate here in Heioi by the name of Maximum Law. Speak with him if you wish to know more about Wampoa. He's got a big mouth, but he knows very little of importance. Don't expect much from that half-empty bottle of vinegar. You get your ass down to Wampoa Garden and talk to the elders. Lie, cheat, and steal if you have to, so long as they're convinced that there won't be any more murders. I want my cup back, and I want it soon. Yeah, sure. Good, I'll tell you the elders you're coming. They don't like outsiders, and they might shoot at you if I don't warn them that you'll be arriving. Artifact liberation. Welcome to the Shadows, Karis. I've received a request from an archaeologist named Mr. Drake. He's interested in liberating certain artifacts from beneath a manor house located in Tai Po. I've attached a copy of the video message that he sent me. The screen flickers a few times and the email is replaced with the face of a stern-looking orc. Hello, Madam Chang. I've heard that you're a woman who knows how to get things done, especially with regards to things that aren't legal in the strictest sense. That's exactly the kind of help I'm looking for. Recently, a rich investor by the name of Liu Hua decided to expand his manor house on the outskirts of Tai Po. Too much money, not enough space for fancy parties. He hit a snag with local government officials, however. They suspected the land his estate was built on may have pre-modern archaeological artifacts buried beneath it, all of them dating from the Song dynasty. Consequently, I was contracted as an archaeologist to oversee the excavations and ensure everything was properly recorded and catalogued. Sure enough, we were only a few days into the excavation when we discovered a series of tombs lying beneath the site. The scope of the tombs was far beyond anything we or I had expected. Several acres of catacombs at least, and untouched relics throughout. What's more, they're certainly older than the Song dynasty. They may even be from the previous cycle of magic. Before I could make my report to the Free Enterprise Zone authorities, however, Liu called in his allies at Tan Tien Incorporated. Liu sold the entire site to Tan Tien, who then leased it back to him. Because Tan Tien is considered to have extraterritoriality in Hong Kong, local authorities were powerless to stop Liu from looting the tombs. He immediately began building a museum, if you can call it that, atop the site. He had the gall to call his museum the Emperor's Tomb. Can you believe that? The odds of there being an actual emperor buried there are basically nil, but he doesn't care. Anything to sell a few tickets. Liu has continued his excavations using Tan Tien contractors to expand the dig. What he didn't know is that I bugged his comlink before he fired me. Based on what I've heard, something strange is going on in the lower levels. Workers have been disappearing only to be found dead several days later. Whatever is down there is too dangerous to be left in Liu's hands. Liu must have found my data line tapped, though. I stopped receiving any information 3 days ago. The last thing I heard him talking about were a pair of ancient texts that workers had discovered. Then he issued an order that further excavation should be halted until he can secure the subterranean areas. I'm betting that these texts are the cause of whatever's killing the workers. I have quite a bit of experience with these kinds of dangerous excavations, but an operation of the scale is beyond me. I need a team that's tough enough to get in and survive, aren't afraid of making a mess, and who can get out with the books and whatever else they can carry. Beyond the 2 texts, I'm willing to pay very well for whatever other artifacts your team can liberate. The more valuable, the better. Don't worry, they'll be going to actual museums, not some rich playboy's mansion. I've got a second program in place to suppress the security system. The team will have to be careful, though. There are only so many alarms I can suppress. Go beyond that number and I'll scrub the mission. I've included a catalog of likely items to help the team appraise the most valuable ones. They don't need to be subtle. In fact, I prefer they make it look like a common robbery. Tell them to smash and grab what they can. Let me know when you find a suitable group of Shadowrunners. There you have it, a nice simple robbery. Do you think you can handle something that basic, dear? I have faith in you. Let me know when you're ready to proceed. I'll contact Mr. Drake when you're on your way. Take the run. Excellent. I've attached direction to Liu's estate to this message. Good luck. Don't fuck it up. And a geomantic sabotage. Geomancy is big business in the Free Enterprise Zone. Here in Hong Kong, Feng Shui isn't just the act of rearranging your kitchen to make things look pretty. The fortunes of empires rise and fall with the ebb and flow of qi, and sometimes that flow needs a helping hand. Wuxing Incorporated are the preeminent practitioners of large-scale qi manipulation here in the Free Enterprise Zone. They've gone to great lengths to channel qi from all over Hong Kong into their headquarters, an enormous monstrosity they call the Wuxing Sky Tower. There, it is focused and transformed into good fortune through the building's geomantically attuned architecture and interior decoration. Our client believes it's time for Wuxing's good luck to run out. You are to infiltrate the Sky Tower and disrupt the flow of qi through the building, but you are to do so in 2 distinct fashions. First, you must disrupt the feng shui of the offices by subtly altering the environment of that level. This will consist of minor adjustments of desks, spilled water, and other small activities that are unlikely to be noticed. Ordinarily, even subtle disturbances of this nature would be noticed. This is why the client wishes you to make a much louder demonstration on the rooftop garden. The garden is to be ransacked, utterly destroyed, set fire to things, uproot trees, that kind of thing. Our client also specified that he would like you to destroy the large Buddhist statue in the garden, smash the thing to bits, and leave them scattered across the rooftop. This level of destruction will keep Wuxing's geomancers busy long enough that the more subtle disruptions below will take effect. In addition, it will send the kind of message our client would like Wuxing to hear. I have utmost faith in your ability to cause destruction. The more disruption you can cause on both levels of the Sky Tower, the happier the client will be. As you're not a spellcaster yourself, it may be wise to bring Gobbet along. She'll be able to see the most effective ways to disrupt the key of the building. Yeah, sure, let's do it. Don't think I have any pending. Let's see what the Shadowrun BBS has to say. Missed connections. You, rappelling down the side of an unnamed luxury hotel in a ball gown on Monday night. Me, admiring the view from the 28th floor urinals during a private soiree for an unnamed corporation that I was infiltrating. Our eyes met briefly before you dropped out of sight. Your long dark hair had come loose from your chignon, framing your beautiful flushed face. I will never forget it. You were carrying a duffel bag bulging with stolen prototype weaponry. Well, I filched the intel that goes with it. Can't we connect? Very funny, Blackjack. I'm sorry the job went sideways. I got trapped and had only one way out. We were supposed to have each other's backs. Just wait till you hear the way out that I had to take. We gotta lay low for now, and why are we posting about this on a public message board? Terrorists in Hong Kong. Been hearing some buzz about some mainlander terrorists that showed up in Victoria Harbour and had a shootout with the HKPF the other day. Anyone hear anything on that? Ring Pal said there were 4 of them that got away. 1 elf, 2 orcs, and a dwarf. A troll, an elf, and a human were all killed on the scene. Word is it that they're members of the White Star of Henan coming here to start trouble against the Executive Council. Looks like there's a 50,000 new yen reward for any information leading to their capture. The HKPF seems pretty nervous about letting these bastards walk freely around the streets. I think they'd actually pay out to somebody like us? Not a chance. You walk in there to claim the reward, you're getting thrown in the hole with them. The HKPF doesn't keep promises to the sinless. Couldn't hurt to try. Why do you have to be such a downer? Because I know the police. They're all dirty, they're only in it to protect their paychecks, and they don't give a damn about anyone else. Believe me, I'm just looking out for your best interests. Like you and your triad looked out for my brother. You know he's still paying for his reconstructive surgery, you bastard. If a man wants to keep his teeth, he should pay what he owes rather than pull a gun on me. Simple as that. Poetry Slam. Ladies and gentlemen, poets and Shadowrunners, welcome to the first annual Shadowrun Poetry Slam. There are no rules, and there are also no prizes, except bragging rights. Without further ado, let the versification begin. How long do you think you can keep this going before the trolls show up or sysadmin shuts us down? Why would they shut us down? It's a free board. We can be poetic if we want to. Just trust me, it happens. For some reason, these things always draw the worst sorts of attention. Are you going to give us a poem, or are you going to stand around complaining about why you can't? Alright, I've got one. Wait for it. Synth muscle, smart links, neuro boosters, cyber limbs, all fall to grenades. A little musing on the transience of life in the shadows. Very nice, sir. When the long shadows fall in Hong Kong, neon lights pierce the coming night. Tread with me, the velvet blackness. Let no lamp shine on our deeds. That one's entitled Our Hour. That might just be the most pompous thing I've ever read. Try this on for size. Lasers are red, shadows are black. With man on the street, you best watch your back. My poem wasn't pompous, you uncultivated rube. It was an homage to Wang Bi, the famous Tang dynasty master of the Jeju form of poetry. It's traditional, unlike that ridiculous limerick that you posted. Now, I don't think I have to take the word slam quite so literally. Hey, you people know the rules. Poetry Slam's been out of bounds in the BBS since the Laughing Man debacle of 55. If you want to sling your fancy words, do it on a different forum. I'm shutting this thread down. Told you. Walled City. I got a courier job next week that's supposed to take me to the Walled City. I'm from Kuala Lumpur and I've never been to Hong Kong, but I hear that place is dangerous as hell. Is there anything I should know? Oh, you got nothing to worry about. It's just a low-cost housing development full of hard-working people. Here, take a look at this news report. A short tread clip begins playing. This is Sunny Chung with Horizon News. On today's sunny side up, the Kowloon Walled City, a blight on the free enterprise zone, or a low-cost housing for the economically disadvantaged. We'll introduce you to some of the hard-working residents, how they live, and how they contribute to the growth and prosperity of our city. A montage sequence begins showcasing the destitute poor of the Walled City going about their daily lives. The shots have been carefully chosen, showing only smiling and productive residents, a stark contrast to your own experience inside it. Many residents of Hong Kong regard the Walled City as a place of no return. To outsiders, it's the last stop on a long road to homelessness. Rumors abound of pharaoh ghouls, unsafe living conditions, and triad extortion. Yet when we went there, the reality was far different. What we saw will shock you. Citizens of Hong Kong working and living just like the rest of us. Their apartments are smaller and their shops more modest, but the people who live there wouldn't be out of place anywhere in the FEZ. Citizens like shoemaker Chow Sang-Tsui. The scene cuts to an elderly man in a closet-sized stall filled with shoemaking equipment. He smiles broadly at the camera. Oh, I love it here. We have a community, you know? We're like family. Maybe we don't have as nice a view as they do in Repulse Bay, but I can't imagine living anywhere else. It's not paradise, no, but it's my home. I grew up here. How could I possibly leave? The camera shifts back to Sunny Chung, who now stands in front of one of the entrances to the walled city. Contrary to popular opinion, the walled city serves a vital function. The poor and downtrodden find a home in the walled city, a community where they have a voice, can work, and even prosper, far from being the eyesore that the video suddenly stutters, freezes, and ends. Okay, I've decided to cut the rest of that crap. She keeps going on about what a good place the walled city is and how we all need it. Don't buy any of it. It may not be hell, but you can see it from there. The Freedom Cowboy's just trying to get you in trouble. Oh, Isabel. So how do you know the real story? Because I grew up there. You know what it's really like? It's eating old broth made from rat bones because there's nothing else. It's watching your neighbors sell their 5-year-old son to organ leggers so they don't starve to death. When you die in the walled city, your neighbors cheer because they'll get the clothes off your back. I wouldn't wish the walled city on my worst enemy. I had to post some pay data. Alright, let's get going. Boop. Alrighty. I don't really have much in the way of money, so I'm not going to look at the shops right now. I gotta go and get something to inspect. A large axe fashioned from overlapping strips of peeling duct tape. But why? Will something happen if I stand here? Hi, Frederick. Like most troll bouncers, this man is knotted with muscles, but absent are the myriad scars that come with age or indiscretion. His only blemishes are the bony skin growths common to his kind and a single deep scar across his neck and collarbone. You got yourself in here, or else we check your aerodynamics. Aerodynamics? Anyone causes trouble, I see how far I can throw them. No fighting, no killing, no sex trade. He lifts an arm, flexing. His muscles jump out like a mass of serpents and steel cabling. His arm is easily as thick as most humans' waist. I don't mess around. Alright, buddy, calm down. Boop. Alright, let's go. Let's do the Wampoan Elders.